We are Metal Nation Radio, playing the best classic metal, thrash metal, death metal, and so much more. Tune in to metalnationradio.com because united we rock.
Hey, this is Dave Mustaine from Megadeth, and you're listening to Metal Nation Radio.
Hey everybody on Metal Nation Radio, this is Trauma. You're listening to the Heavy Metal ICU, and I have the one, the only, the father of thrash metal, Dave Mustaine, on the line with me, who's out on Gigantor right now. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. So, first night Gigantor last night, I heard it was amazing. How'd you feel about it?
I think it was pretty damn good too. We had the local radio station up there had one of the DJs bands on that opened the show, and then we had our lineup minus Jason Newstead and his band. They were flying in still, but the five of the six of us played. It was first night. I thought everything was really great for the first night.
Awesome. So, you got, the bands that you have on this tour is unbelievable. This is like, to me, the Woodstock of metal that you've lined up on this. How did you come about just getting all these bands, to come on board with you, just saying, this is it, man, we're doing it?
Well, it's kind of a committee that picks the bands when it comes down to it, because people will suggest stuff, my friends and our management and the agents and stuff like that. But I've got to feel it at the end of the day. If I don't like the band, if there's something about them that I think doesn't resonate with the spirit of what Gigantor is all about, then it's just not meant to be. Now, they may be a perfect band to go out with us, Megadeth and them. It might be, for example, perfect. But for Gigantor, I don't know, because there's a vibe that Gigantor has. It's just positive. It's not about porking the fans for their money. Tickets aren't expensive. Merchandise isn't expensive. The bands are all bands that are salt of the earth, working class, heavy metal people who live what they and breathe what they do. So, there's not a lot of posers. Thank God over the last 30 years there's only been a couple of heavy metal bands that had a bunch of rich kids in it, but they've kind of done their own thing and gone off into pop metal and stuff, and the real heavy metal has stayed true. Look at bands like Sabbath and Maiden, and we're just watching a total renaissance of pure heavy metal again. I love it. Speaking of
Sabbath and Maiden, you guys are the luckiest band in the world right now. You're going to be touring with Kiss, Maiden, Sabbath. You're going to be doing heavy MTL. You just got Megadeth's schedule's busy. I know Fred. He's my neighbor, and he's never home. He's always on the road with Megadeth, and I was like, that is the job. My kids idolize Fred because he gets to hang out with you all the time. So, but
Fred's a great guy. We one of the things that we really love about people that are from the Pittsburgh area is that they just have a certain not to be a pun, but a certain steely nature to them, where they you know what you get. One of the guys that I met from one of the other bands, I can't remember which guy it is right yet, because it just was, we've only seen each other twice, but he was from Pittsburgh. I think he was in Zach's band. It was either Zach or Hell Yeah, and he was from Pittsburgh, and we talked about the steel mills getting shut down, and how the economy is affecting everybody in the industrial cities in our nation and stuff, and how I had a relative who played ball for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and watching Sean and Fred be these mad Steeler fans, and it's just really cool because by proxy, Pittsburgh's a big part of the Megadeth family.
Yeah, when you guys played at Stage AE last summer, we came down and saw you, and we were talking to Sean. We brought Sean a Pittsburgh Steelers shirt, and he was like,
"It's your fault."
he said it was just surreal, just sitting behind the drums and looking at Heinz Field, and with his little Steeler earphones in, his earbuds in for his monitors, and and it just made me laugh that you have, the Megadeth family is like part of the Steel family here in Pittsburgh as well. So,
that's flattering to hear it said like that.
And Pittsburgh's a great town. I mean, I love it because I'm born and raised here. But Megadeth is one of the bands that we make sure we see every time, just because of my Pittsburgh connection with Fred. But not only that, it's just you guys represent what Pittsburgh's about. Hardcore, balls to the wall. Go at it 100%, and and we appreciate that here in Pittsburgh. So, I just want to thank you for that. Also, I went to the beach last week, and I got to sit down and digest Gigantor, or not Gigantor, Super Collider, and I listened to it about 30 times. And I'll tell you what, amazing album. I want to give you kudos on it, man. It's great, and to me, it. Tell me if I'm wrong, but it's you just going back to your roots of rock and just playing what you feel.
That's exactly right. My whole dream as a kid was to be in Led Zeppelin, and if I couldn't be in Led Zeppelin, I wanted to be in a band that I was able to, get out my angst and still have that kind of musicality. And while thrash really fit the bill, I felt that there's a lot more that I think that the thrash fans can experience and appreciate than just fast picking the whole time. That's when you started to watch a disconnect from thrash metal to speed metal, because speed metal was just all about speed, and thrash was a little more thrashier and had different parts to it. And we've never really fit under any kind of brand or genre. When people say metal, it's new metal. Well, it's not new metal, but it's heavy metal, it's speed metal, it's thrash metal. We've got songs that are even progressive metal. If you look back at some of the stuff off of Peace Cells and some of the stuff off of Rust in Peace, and even on the new record with Dance in the Rain, that's a pretty progressive song. So, really trying to explore yourself, because, you only get one chance to do this life. And if you get blessed enough to be able to play music for a living, you're playing music. You're not working music. So why not have fun while you're playing?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I've met you in the past, and, I mean, you're passionate about the music. The biggest memory I have of Dave Mustaine, and I talked to you before the interview, was you actually sitting with my kids after the show. Was with Slayer and Testament in Cleveland, Ohio, at that little tent. It was like a little Quonset hut type tent right on the river. I can't remember what it's called. Some cable center, Time Warner Cable Center or something like that. And you actually sat and talked to my boys about music. They both play guitar and bass, and it was amazing. I just sat there and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And the whole way home, my kids were just like, oh my God, did you see that? Dave was talking to us. And it was a really great thing. You just showed your passion towards the music, and I mean, you could see it just all over you. It was amazing.
Well, that kind of ruins that Dave's an asshole reputation, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can go that route too. So no, you're not, man.
You know what? That's what it's all about. People that say that stuff about me don't know me, or they've got a bone to pick with me because of a feud I've had with someone else that they liked. And sometimes you don't like somebody because your friend doesn't like them, and I totally get that. I know that if a lot of these people met me, that they probably would like me. But you know what? If everybody likes you, then you've lost your edge. And I want to have an edge. I want to make sure that I push the envelope with everything I've done. I'm not going to say I created a whole brand new guitar style, because guitar's been around for a very, very long time, ever since the Lyre. But for me, I wanted to do something different with it, and I did. I had fun, and I had a great band to take it to the masses with Metallica while it lasted, and then going into Megadeth. We're really looking forward to getting in town and playing. Not to have gone off on a thing about Pittsburgh or anything, because I know this is for Youngstown. We've got a lot of root in Ohio. My dad's side of the family was from there. We had a great guitar player that came from Ohio, Jeff Young, and we just had a really great, huge performance there last summer. Last summer, I think it was the Rock and the, what do they call it? Rock in the Ring, or whatever it was.
Rock on the Range.
No, that was 2 years ago, wasn't it? Either way, that show was massive, and it felt so good to be playing in an audience that size in Ohio.
Yeah, that's always a big show too. The Rock on the Range show. They just had it was just last month, I think it was, that they just had it again. But I mean, with you guys, the metal's there, the sound's there, everything. To me, you guys are improving with age. You're like a fine wine, So
thanks. part of that, I got to tell you, it's the dedication of David Ellison and Chris Broderick to constantly going in and practicing the songs and doing their parts, because, you know, my skill, my pay grade is kind of limited. You know, I do what I do, and I do it the best I can. And these guys have an ability to sing in parts where, you know, the singing was done on the record that is, you know, maybe it's a two-part harmony, and instead of just two people singing, the other guy will double up on one of the parts to make it stronger, and there'll be a part where there's a three-part harmony, and, you know, Sean will sing the fourth person, and, you know, he'll help to give me a little back up with, you know, another part with whoever is not really getting the part, and you know, we never had that before. You know, plus the fact that Chris can play these solos like any of the previous guitar players. It's just amazing. You know, we kind of believed that you could go to a concert with a backdrop and a backline, and that's all you really needed. But, you know, nowadays you can't. You go to a concert and you see there's, like, you know, video walls and inflatable stuff and dancing girls and confetti and water cannons, and these are from bands that are putting out their first demo tape. You know, that's not even the headliners.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Dave on the bass, amazing guy. Chris Broderick on guitar. Sean, he's a machine on the drums. And I was actually reading a little article about it, and Sean said that you were like a slave driver during the album. His hands were hurting and his arms were hurting from just playing the parts over and over and over. You know, so when you guys recorded.
That's not fair. He's a wimp. No, I'm just kidding. You know, the thing with Sean is that he has so much raw, untapped talent that I knew it was in there. And one of the things that people are most excited about with this record is his drumming. It's very original and fresh. You know, it's still very metal, but there's a lot of really cool punk rock fills like we used to do back in the very beginning, when, because Megadeth was a very punk-influenced heavy metal band. Now, what is metal? It's just punk rock with long hair, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And then you got the amazing Willie G, who's your tech. You got Fred, who's Chris and Dave's tech. You know, I mean, you know, Willie G, the guy that knows one bar from every song, I think he said. So, Willie's
a really great guitar player. He's got a fantastic ear too. My tone that I get on stage, it's really hard to replicate album tone live. And between Fred and Willie, I can't. You know, I mean, there are some bands that I really respect. I'm friends with their crew, so, you know, the present company excluded. I don't know anybody else that has techs as good as we do.
Okay, so, I mean, I was also reading, and another thing with Zach. He called you the other day and said he was watching Kim Kardashian getting ready to do the Richard Simmons workout. And I interviewed Zach like a month ago, and, I mean, the interview with him was pretty funny, like all the lines. He said the Black Label show's sort of like watching Disney on Ice. It's an Irish Catholic folk band with dancing girls and river dancing. So how would you explain Megadeth to the masses?
Using the template you just gave me, that following Zach's lead, God, I could say just about anything, because I don't think that's it couldn't be further from the truth with those guys. Zach did a guitar solo last night that was so mind-blowing. It was so awesome to listen to, and that's one of the things I was really looking forward to about BLS being on this tour, is that, you know, they were going to be playing every night, and we could go out there and just watch this legendary guitar player just tear it up. And that's another one of the cool things about the whole Gigantor site, is that we just started filming the Woodshed portion, which is going to be, you know, all the guitar players and various other musicians that want to do it, giving brief music performance lessons at this page at the Gigantor site. So we just started that, and so, you know, any of your listeners can check back over at that site and see that, because that's going to be really cool to see, like, you know, Zach giving Dave a guitar lesson or something like that, I think. I mean, I would love to have seen something like that if I was a kid.
That would be, actually, I'll be looking for it too. So I'll make sure I put links up on our page for that one. Okay, so
cool.
With everything coming up, all your touring that you're doing, all the bands you're playing with, what are you most excited about for this summer? I mean, you got, like I said, you have Sabbath coming up, you have Kiss. I know you're a big Kiss fan. Fred told me that. I had a Kiss shirt on one day, and he goes, Dave would love that shirt. And I said, well, he's not getting it. So,
yesterday I saw this guy that had a stormtrooper from Star Wars, and he was wearing my double neck guitar because my signature stuff has certain marks on it. Like on the neck, it had a 12 ball from a billiard set because it was a 12 string, and on the other neck it had it was an 8 ball. It was supposed to have been because the deviate, and I couldn't see that neck, so I don't know if they made that a 6 or an 8. I can't remember that guitar very well, but I knew it was mine, and I saw it, and I was like, "Where'd you get that shirt?" And of course, the guy wasn't going to part with it because it was a Father's Day gift, and I wouldn't have done it either if it was a Father's Day gift. But man, it was a cool shirt. Yeah, and we do like Kiss. The funnest thing for us, I think, this summer coming up, it's just the prospect of being able to go out in the States and support, Gigantor and Super Collider. We've got, is it time yet? Yeah, it's 2 more minutes. She's telling me it's 2 more minutes.
Okay.
We've got, a lot of dates, a lot of opportunities in the States and down in Latin America. But, the most important thing with the advent of the Internet now is give it your all every single night and let the world see the differences in the fan base that we have and where you play and what the crowd reaction's like. Because, you could be sitting in your office and watch a concert from Bolivia tonight if we were playing there. And the difference between the Latin American audience and the American audiences with the crowd interaction is something really, really interesting. You should check it out sometime. They do it a lot here in America, where they'll sing, the words Megadeth behind, Hangar 18, where it goes dun 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 dun. They'll go Megadeth, and which is really kind of cool. But some of those Latin American cities, man, I tell you, they've got this passion that when you see it, you just want to bring it back home. And I think that's what we're going to try and do this summer here, is really show people, we've raised our game, I think, and this Gigantor this year is my favorite one so far. Anyways, listen, I gotta get going. I got time for one more question for you. Okay.
Well, hey, anything you want to say to any of your listeners out there? Just go at it. This is your mic. You got however long you need for it.
My mic. Well, thank you for listening. Gigantor, like I said, this is my favorite Gigantor so far as aggression is concerned. Get there early if you're going to come, because you're going to want to see Death Division. These guys are going to be really, in my mind, successful, and it'd be great to see them the first time. Now, remember, we've done this before when we did Clash of the Titans. Alice in Chains was the opening band, and I said they were going to be big too, and look, I was right. So check them out. And plus, with Newstead and Hell Yeah, you don't want to miss those guys either. Jason's got a great set, and what can I say about Vinny's band? By the time Device comes up, you should be there. If not, I hope that you're hauling ass from wherever you're coming from, because you don't want to miss Zach. And we've got a great show in store for you. There's some really cool merchandise this year. There's a shirt of all the frontmen called Mount Thrashmore, which everybody thinks is pretty cool. So I'm hoping that you guys like it too. And if you don't see us in Gigantor this summer, we'll be back.
And I have a message from our chat room. It just came over from Bad Kitty. She said she loves you, and it's going to be her first time seeing Megadeth on this tour. She can't wait to see you. So just let me know.
Well, tell her I said thank you.
Okay. And everybody out there on Metal Nation Radio, that was Dave Mustaine. Stay tuned for some Megadeth.
We are Metal Nation Radio, with the best DJs from around the world and streaming 24/7, 365 days of the year. Metal Nation Radio. United we rock.